Hey Jacksonville, it's Jacob with Wilman Air. Welcome to another episode of Jumpin Jax. Lately we've been talking a lot about relays, and it's become apparent some people just don't know what they do. So in short, I'd like to show you a little quick setup that I did and kind of give you an idea. The whole basis of a relay is it acts as a switch, but it kind of uses a little bit of logic. So let's say you're at your thermostat and you want the cooling to come on. Okay. So you turn your thermostat on to cool, and it will turn on the outdoor unit and your indoor fan, okay? Now that's a good thing because we want those two things to operate. But what if you just want the fan with no cooling? So let's say you turn on the fan only. Well, there is a relay inside of that thermostat that actually makes it not turn on the outdoor unit for cooling. Right? It's not like the two circuits are joined, even though you get 24 volts to both on fan and the outdoor unit for cooling. If you only want fan, it drops this circuit. So I kind of did a little setup here, hoping you guys will get the basis a little bit better. Let's take a look here, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so this is my workbench, and I did a little setup here. What I did is I just took a old transformer, wired it up to 115 volts, right? And this is our positive 24 volts, which comes off to a little terminal here I can plug into. And then to complement our 24 volts AC, we have got a common terminal, which is also connected to ground. And so I can plug things into there. I went ahead and mounted a thermostat, and you can see the red wire going to 24 volts and the blue wire going to common. That's how we have a display. Without that complete circuit, we would not have display. Okay, so here's what I did. I basically utilized a relay. All right, here's what you need to know. Green is a call for our fan to come on. Yellow would be a call for cooling to come on. Let's say this is our load for the fan. Okay, so every time I have an input for the fan, it's going to come in here and go out through this green wire to activate this load, and you'll see this suck in. Once I turn this fan to the on position, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and you can see the contactor physically suck in. Okay, so that's with the fan on. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to auto now, turn it back this way, make the call for fan stop, and you can see it released the load. So normally here you'd have high voltage coming in here, but it wouldn't be able to get through until this is sucked in. That's a contactor. All right. And it's sucked in via 24 volts. So it needs hot 24 volts here and a common over here. So between numbers 5 and 6, we are normally closed. So the circuit will go right through. Okay. Up here, between numbers 2 and 4, you have a normally open circuit. So what I have is a positive 24 volts, this big red wire, going straight in. And then we're going to say that this yellow is our cooling. And we want it to turn on the fan as well as the outdoor unit. So what I'll have here is this yellow will actually turn on the fan, and it will take the input from this yellow, which goes to the thermostat. So the thermostat will send 24 volts through here. Inside here is a little coil that activates a load, which changes these two terminals from normally closed to normally open, and these two rear terminals from normally open to normally closed. So when I activate 24 volts, voltage will no longer, even if it's coming in through the green, it will no longer be applied through this green. It will close the back switch, taking 24 volts from this constant red and throwing it to yellow to activate. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to turn it on cool, and again you'll be able to see the load activate. There it is. Okay, now right now there is 24 volts actually going to both of these. So I have a constant 24 volts on this red, okay, which is then connected to the yellow once this load is activated. But there's also 24 volts from green, because when the thermostat tells the outdoor unit to come on and throws that yellow signal, it knows it needs to operate the indoor fan, so it's going to put 24 volts on that green as well. Here's the thing, we do not have two 24 volt signals going though. We only have one. Right now it's on yellow because we've activated our relay with a call for cooling from the thermostat on this yellow wire. This other side is just common. It completes the circuit for the load inside here. So there is no 24 volts on this. Right? We don't need it. We use the 24 volts from it telling to put the cooling on to activate the load. Now let's say both are on. Doesn't matter. Again, still have 24 volts going to both. The purpose of the contactor here is that every time we turn on cooling, it's going to turn on the fan. But every time we turn on the fan alone by itself, it will not put 24 volts back into the yellow circuit and therefore not operate the outdoor unit when we don't want it to. So it acts kind of like a little logic circuit that says, if I put in 24 volts here, then we will apply 24 volts to our load through 2 and 4. And if I do not put 24 volts through our load here, I will only apply voltage through 5 and 6. So that's what a relay does. And we'll go ahead and turn them off, and I'll turn the thermostat off from cooling, and you can see the load release itself. This would disconnect high voltage. There you go. So that's what a relay does. Again, the key things to remember between 2 and 4, kind of hard to see, but that's that yellow and that red in the back. We have positive 24 volts coming in, going to our external load. Here between 5 and 6, we've got just the control, whatever we want to activate this load with normally. And between 1 and 3, we've got a command control to tell it when to turn on 2 and 4. So 1 and 3 turn on 2 and 4. 5 and 6 are just normally closed, but they open up when 1 and 3 are activated. All right. It's about as complicated and simple as it gets. But I kind of like this setup, so we'll be playing with it a little bit more later. I've had some fun with contactors too. Just applying, taking 24 volt transformer, you can make basically a switch. I mean, that's all a thermostat is. It's just a bunch of switches inside. It has 24 volts going into it, and then however you press the buttons and set the temperature or whatever mode you have it on, it tells it what wires to actually throw that 24 volts to. So it switches that 24 volts to all sorts of different wires inside this thing to tell what pieces of equipment you want to come on. So I've actually messed with thermostats and just said, hey, turn on the fan, and it will turn on a light, or let's put it in cooling and it will start playing music on something else. They're just control signals. That's all it is. It's 24 volts AC, which is either on or off when you're activating smaller loads like a contactor. 24 volts makes this come on, and then the release at 24 volts makes it come off. And you can see here's one that's detached, but it's got a little coil down there. And so 24 volts makes it, when applied, close. And then when it's de-applied or unapplied, it opens. This actually has a small coil in it as well. So between 1 and 3 right here, these two end terminals, when 24 volts is applied, that coil will change the switch inside from connecting 5 and 6 to connecting 2 and 4. Bye. Stay blessed.